Welcome to the Guitar Station. Today we are going to be working on our March medley, which has One Call Away, Rise Up, and Without You in it. All three of these songs use the same four chords, and we're going to go over those really quick before we start. For starters, we have the G chord, which is what the key of all these songs is in, at least the way we are playing them. G chord is often represented as a green chord in my classroom, and that can be played on three-string guitar by playing the first three strings, the E, high E, B, and G strings, while pressing down the third fret of the first string with the third finger. That gives you G. Or by adding in the third finger on the third fret of the low E string and the first finger on the second fret of the A string, so that all six together sound like this. To play E minor, three string is nothing at all, while six string, you add your first and second finger on the second fret of the A and D string. We have the C chord, which is the C major chord is going to be your first finger on the second fret of the B string, so you have to hop over to that second string to play it for a three string, and then you add the second finger and third finger to the second fret of the D string and third fret of the A string if you want the sixth string version. And then lastly, we have the D chord, which is our hardest chord for both three string and six string. It's pretty much the same level of difficulty. What you're going to do is take your first finger and hop up from the E, B, G to that third string. See, now you're pressing down the second fret there. Then put your second finger on the second fret right underneath of the high E string, and then peel in right at the edge with your third finger on that third fret to get the D chord. Whether you play that three string or four string or even five strings, it'll still sound good. We don't want to hit that bottom string though. This is a D chord with four strings, and a D with an A in the bass is still fine with five strings, but we don't want to add that bottom string in. That note doesn't exactly fit in our chord. Now let's actually get into playing these songs. So for starters, we're going to do the pre-chorus. So for starters, let's start with Rise Up by Andrew Day. Let's go ahead and play Rise Up first. Rise Up is going to start with green G. You're broken down and orange D. This is a hard one. Tired, E minor, no fingers. Of living life, then C, first finger, second string. On a merry-go-round. You can also do that sixth string, green G. And da-da-da-da, orange D. E minor is yellow. And then to red C. And the whole song is just that, in whole notes. Whether you're playing six strings or just three strings. For all the verses. Tried to play only three there, and I was doing a little extra. But when we get to the chorus of the song, the chorus is going to take each one in double length. So we'll have, I'll rise up. Do it again. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'm hopping back and forth between the third and sixth string version. You can do three string or six strings, either way. If you want to start to make the rhythms a little harder, instead of doing whole notes, do half notes. I'll rise up, I'll rise up. Do half notes. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll switch to three string and do quarter notes. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So whether you want to play whole notes, you want to play half notes, or you want to play quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And going into the next chord, either way you want to do it will work for this song. I would say keep the verses nice and slow, but when you get to the choruses, that's when you can amp it up a little bit more. All right, we're going to move on to our next song, which is going to be One Call Away. Moving into our second song, we've got Without You by Usher and David Guido, or I guess David featuring Usher, but yes, we're going to move into Without You. Without You uses green G. It uses our C, first fret, second string. Stop playing that fourth string. And E minor. If If you want to play the 6-string versions, you can, and I will for this part of the video. So it'll play G for measure, G for measure again, C, C again, E minor again, G, G again, G, G again. So we get this. I can da da da, C da da da, C again, E minor, then C. If I do 3 strings, G da da, G again, C da da, then C again, E minor, then C. That's the whole verse of the song. When we get to the chorus, this is where it's going to get tricky. You can try to do this. It's going to go G then C. So you go G then C, G then C, G then C, D E E. 3-string version. G then C, G then C, G then C, D E E. So you get that whoa, oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, without you. And you're back into the verse all over again. Now time for our last song, which is the hardest one, One Call Away. Moving on to our next song, One Call Away. This song is a little bit harder because you can see there are a lot more chords that we're going to be using. For starters, we're going to start off with E minor, and each one of these is going to be a half note. So I'll play the 3-string version to start with. So we'll have E minor, then D, then G, and then C. So you get, all together you get, call me baby when you need a friend. No finger yellow E, then all 3 fingers D, then 3rd fret G, 1st fret C. Da 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 da. Then we get 2 measures before the pre-chorus, which are going to be C, da 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 da, then orange D. You know I'm not alone. And now we're at the chorus. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save a day. I keep playing 4 strings. Superman's got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. So I switched to a 6-string version there at the end. Again, you can choose to play the 3-string chords, and it still sounds just as good if you're not hitting that 4th string like I keep doing when trying to play 3 strings. But this is the hardest song we have for the guitar.